What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Blood on the Razor Wire TV, where we bring it to you real and we bring it to you raw. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share the video. Definitely a special video today, right? Bringing on Mikey D. He's going to talk a little bit about himself, tell you who he is, talk about his father a little bit, and we're going to get into some things, man, and what it was like for him. So, Mike, tell the people who you are, where you're from, and talk a little bit about you, man, and your dad and that situation.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Mike Dileonardo from Bath Beach, Brooklyn. My father was Mike Dileonardo, Mikey Scars. He was a captain of the Gambino family and became a foreman, I think 2002, 2003, something like that, and just changed everybody's life, you know?
You know, your father was actually best friends, I think, with John Gotti Jr., right?
Yeah, they were close at one point. They didn't grow up together. John obviously was from Queens. My father was from Bensonhurst. But yeah, they became close. They were close. You know, I called him Uncle John for a while, stuff like that.
What was it like when you would see him, man?
I don't know. It was normal, it's just a normal life, for everybody that's in it. I guess, once you step back and everything changes, you look at it a little differently. But when you're in there, it's just like Uncle John, normal day, you know.
Let me ask you this, right? Talk a little bit about your family and your upbringing. When you were a kid, man,
Yeah.
what was your life like with your dad?
He was a pretty good dad. I mean, he wasn't there that much. Obviously, 'cause when you live that life, you're in and out. Um, Me personally, I think if you're gonna be a gangster or even somebody in the military, it's kind of hard to have a family, with the things that could happen, the consequences. But he was an all right dad. He was there, but he was in and out. He was in and out. And I can't say nothing too bad about him, but it could have been better. But it is what it is. He had a certain lifestyle. That comes first, obviously, as everybody knows. That's the family, and that's what it was. He did that. He lived that life until he did what he did.
When did you figure out that your dad was a gangster, man? How old were you when it finally dawned, like, oh,
Uh,
man, that's who my dad is?
I think about that sometimes. I don't know, like if it's ever like one day you just figure it out. It's like something's different. When you're in school and everybody's like, my father's sanitation, my father's a firefighter, my father's a police officer, and and you're sitting there and I really don't know what my father does. That's a good question. And then you think about it. I guess that's where it starts. I don't know, maybe young kid, 5, 6 years old, you start thinking about it. I guess you pick up on things. So yeah, young age.
Was there ever, when you were a kid, was it ever kind of embarrassing being that these other kids, their dads were in sanitation, they're firefighters? Was it like, damn, man, I'm a little embarrassed?
I'll be honest with you, the neighborhood I come from, Bath Beach, 90% of the people were involved or knew somebody. It was normal life. So no, I guess it wasn't kind of embarrassing, because that's the people I was around. So it was day to day.
And then eventually some stuff happens. John Gotti Jr. is arrested with that guardian angel case and all of that type of stuff. And something happens with your father, right? Tell the people
Yeah.
what happens, man.
Well, that was part of it. That was part of the case. They actually weren't even supposed to kill him, from what I know, from what I've read and heard. They were supposed to pick him up, give him a beating, whatever that may entail, but not kill him. And somebody pulled out a gun. He got shot. He survived, and that's what it became. That's how things happen in the street. You do something out there, anything could go wrong. And the guy survived, thank God. You don't want to see nobody get killed, and it just leads to arrests.
Was your father part of that, where with the situation with trying to hit that dude?
I don't think he was so much involved with planning it. I think he might have knew, but no, I don't think he was involved in any planning. He wasn't there, nothing like that. That was other guys.
Then eventually your dad, I mean, he's pretty much facing a life sentence, right? When the feds come in and they're like, look, man, this is what's about to happen. And your dad, obviously does something that, hurt you, hurt your family, just
Yeah,
hurt everybody, right?
yeah.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
did your dad ever tell you what made him do it or why he made that choice?
Yeah, he did. When it first happened, it was a little hard to take in. It was a million different reasons because, as it's happened, it's like anything else, it's frantic, it's crazy. Um, Now, I think he said it publicly, you can look it up. Supposedly when he got arrested, they shelved him. I don't know if you know what that means. Basically, they strip you, take your title away, and that's it. No, they chase you basically. And he said he got locked up. They did that while he was in there. And that's what led him to do what he did. He felt betrayed. Now, you know, whether that's true, whether it's not true, I don't know. I'll believe it because he's telling me that, and he's telling the public that. But is that a reason to do what he did? I don't think so, because when you sign up for that life, you know what it is. It's death or jail. So whether it's a reason, no, but that's his reason.
Sometimes people get arrested and they come up with reasons like that, like Sammy the Bull, and, people say certain things.
Yeah.
But I think it's more of, man, I'm not trying to go to jail for the rest of my life. Do you think it was more of that?
I think it's that for every one of them, to be honest. Everybody that, turns informant or wears a Y, whatever they do, I think that's what the ultimate is. What else is there? You come up with a million reasons for anything you do in life, but there's always one truth. You just don't want to go to jail. What else is it?
How old were you when this happened with your dad, man?
I think it was 15 or 16. 15 turned 16.
So you're 15 years old. You're in high school, man. You're probably just like a regular kid, right? You're playing sports. What are you doing?
I think I was a junior in high school at the time. I wasn't playing none at the time. I was just hanging out. I was actually starting to hang out with him and his friends a little more, and not doing anything crazy, but just hanging out, going out to eat, having drinks, living good. Because when I was younger, I really didn't like to hang out with him and his friends. I thought it was boring. I used to hang out, shake hands all day, drink black coffee. That's how I viewed it. I wanted to go and play video games, go play with my friends. But around that time, we started getting a little closer, and then that's when it came when he got arrested.
He gets arrested. You're in high school, man. This stuff comes out in the news media. People are talking about it. How do you feel, man, as a 15, 16-year-old kid, man, around all your friends now? Are you embarrassed? Do you not want to go to school? Like, what's going through your mind?
Well, when he got arrested, or when he turned informant?
Well, when he turns informant, not when he gets arrested, but, yeah. I mean, when that all comes out.
That's tough. That's hard to take in at first. It goes against everything you were taught, everything you believed in. And I never thought he would do it, I guess that's the main thing. Whether or not other people on the street ever thought that about him, I don't know. But I guess that's something you don't think about your father, I guess, That's the last thing. But it was embarrassing. It was a little embarrassing, a lot embarrassing. But you get through it like anything else.
Like you said, you get through it, but I mean, were the other kids saying shit at school like, oh, that's his dad, hey, what his dad did, that type of shit?
When it first happened, it was, I guess I had it pretty good, I gotta say. I got lucky. I was still around a lot of people, around nephews, cousins, friends, the actual guys themselves. And, they treated me good. They kept me around, actually. There was, 3 to 4 guys that actually sent word to me, directly, or told me directly that we have nothing to be embarrassed about. Made me sit next to them wherever we were, if we were out somewhere, and they treated me good. So, when it first happened, I got to say it was all right. Could have been worse.
Were these the guys that you looked up as your uncles, or are these the kids?
No, these are the guys I'm talking about that did the right thing, kept me around. So I'm coming from them. I don't think anybody was going to say anything to me. I guess that was the point they wanted to get across. So, I guess that's why I had it pretty easy. I never heard nothing. As I got a little older, 18, 19, a couple of years after the fact, you hear people talking. And a couple of times people were talking, I confronted them. What's up? Like, me, you're talking about me, and that's it. A couple of fights here and there, but nothing serious. Nothing serious.
So you had a couple of fights over that, what happened with your dad? Because they're talking shit, you feel embarrassed. You're like, you got to represent your honor. I mean, tell me how that goes.
For instance, I'll give you one instance. I don't know, I had to be 18 at the time. And when Nextel's right, we had the chirp. And I heard some kid, Anthony, was saying that I was in the witness protection. Now, I'm living in Staten Island. I'm not gone. So I'm like, all right, I don't even know this guy. I asked who he was, what was his last name, never heard of him. So I get his phone number, and I'm trying to call him. He's not picking up. So it was like 2 days later, I start chirping him. So you can't really avoid that. I don't know if you remember that. You could alert him, it won't stop. So he picked up. I was like, what's up? He's like, who's this? I was like, it's Mike. You know me, right? And he was like, no. I was like, really? I'm hearing a couple of things that, I'm in the witness protection program. You know me like that? Because I don't know you. And, he was like, no, I never said that, whatever it was. And that was the end of that. But nothing too bad. Nothing too bad. Sat down, a lot of people talk. So, and you know what? I don't blame anybody for talking. It is what it is.
We're going to get into a couple things because I think people should know how you really felt. But let me ask you this, right? Eventually, you end up going to Raybrook Prison, right? I mean, you're a young man at the time, and
Lake Placid.
you go on a visit with John Gotti Jr. and you guys have a little discussion. Alleged, this is what the government says, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What
Testified.
was it like when you went up there? I mean, did they ask for you to come up there? Did you decide to go up there on your own?
So I would say I want to say like a year and a half before I actually went up there. My father was on a different trial that he actually beat in Atlanta. It was something with strip club, Scores in New York and the Gold Club in Atlanta. So when that was going on, he was back and forth to Atlanta, and I actually went out there and we had a nice little vacation. As crazy as that sounds, the guy's on trial and we're out there having fun. I believe John wanted to see me then, because we were kind of close. Used to go to his house, and I got word of that. But that was before my father flipped, and that didn't come to fruition. So that kind of passed. So then when my father did flip a year later, it came back up. So, I'm a kid, you know, everything's going crazy. So why wouldn't I go up? I felt comfortable with him. It's a little vacation getaway, see what he's got to say. And so I did. I know we went up there, took the nice ride.
You're in Raybrook with John Jr. and you're talking to him on the visit, and they end up doing something with intimidation of a witness, right?
Yeah.
And, I want to get into how that happens because you end up talking, the government alleges, that you're talking to your dad. And you tell your dad, hey, look, man, they allege that you told him, hey, look, John said this, said that, you're good. Just don't worry about it. And your dad says, look, man, they'll tell you whatever they want, but they want to kill me.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that. You end up testifying at the Gotti Jr. trial on behalf of John Gotti, right?
Yeah, I think it was the third one. I don't know if it was 3 trials in total or 4 in total, but it was the second to last one. So the way it happened was, went up there, was, had a conversation, was what it was. I ended up speaking to my father not too long after. Actually, we were still in touch, as everything was going on, and he didn't know. So, I don't think anything. So I tell him. I thought maybe he'd be a little upset, but I'm not going to hide it from him because he's going to find out one way or another. So I said, let me just get it over with, tell him and see, this is what it is. And he was infuriated. I don't know how he felt. He told me how he felt. I don't know if he was just mad that, he was doing what he was doing, and I just went up there to see him without his permission. I didn't let him know. Maybe he felt slighted that way. He said that it was a threat. He told me he didn't believe that John was actually going to do anything, but it was more of, like playing a game, like being cute about it. Like, look, I could see your son, he's up here sitting down with me and doing what you're doing. So that's what he said. But, you know how the government is, federal government. They want John in jail real bad, 4 trials, 3 trials, whatever it was. And they heard that, they listened over the phones. There was letters wrote back and forth. That's another thing. Prosecutors were showing me letters that I wrote to him. I found surprising. But that's how that happened. They heard that. Oh, look, he went up there. He's mad about it. He came together with them and they, created a charge. Easy charge, right?
I mean, they play a vicious game, my friend. So
I see that.
You end up testifying at the trial, and do you kind of remember what your testimony was? I mean, you helped John Gotti Jr. to a certain extent, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you weren't up there testifying against him; you were testifying to help him.
It was for him, yeah. Which obviously is better than testifying against him, right? Who wants to do anything like that? But yeah, it was for him. We actually got subpoenaed by him. So the trial before that, my mother testified. It was a mistrial, I believe. She testified and she told me that she had a discussion with him that, listen, don't involve my son, please. However, I think it was 18, 19 at the time, 20 when I actually testified. I'll go up, don't let him do it. And, I'll do you this favor. She went up, there was a mistrial. A year or 2 later, the next trial comes. Now he's desperate again, and, he went to my mother. He asked her first, obviously, he was respectful about it. She don't want to do it. So he subpoenaed us. And, I didn't want to do it. That's hard getting up there, testifying. And I felt it was a little better because it was going to help him. I don't want to see the guy go to jail. I don't see anybody go to jail. So we did it. We did it.
Let's talk a little bit about your dad. So when you go testify at the trial on behalf of Gotti and say, hey, you're pretty much testifying saying, hey, my dad's lying, kind of, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And what is your father? Does he contact you guys after that and say, hey, is he mad? Is he upset? What's your father doing at that time?
No, I don't think he was upset. I thought he was going to be there, to be honest with you, but I didn't see him. I just seen John there. John was sitting right in front of me. Hey, he was mad at first, but what is he gonna say afterwards? Yeah, I helped the guy out. He if you want to break it down, I'm up there because of him.
He
You
put you
know,
he put you in that position.
you know, that's how I feel. What if what if he didn't care and he didn't get mad? Let's say, would the feds have created that charge? I can't say yes or no. We don't know that, but it definitely didn't help. By him, being upset by it. So
Let's talk a little bit about the witness protection program. I mean, your father goes into the witness protection program. Do the feds want to put you guys in there? Are they acting like they're worried about you, worried about your safety?
no, I never dealt with the feds. He actually had another kid and a girlfriend. He actually had the other kid when he was with my mother. That's a whole different story. But they never contacted us. When he first came out and did what he did, he was at MCC. I don't know if you were there, but I know you're familiar with it. He was in 10 South, I believe. I think Jeffrey Epstein was in 9 South, so he was in 10. I think it's a little more high level. And I went up there to see him, and he came out. He was all skinny, looked like a different person. And he tried to convince me to go. Gave me every excuse. We'll all go together. This is what it is. You have to go. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't want to go. I cried to him about it. I'm not gonna lie. It hurt. But I knew my mother wasn't going. I wasn't going. So I just made it clear to him. You know what I mean? I think that hurt him a lot. But it is what it is. That's not the life I wanted to live.
Do you feel like maybe he was like, damn, man, I did all of this stuff. Now he's at a point in his life like where he regrets a lot of stuff that he did. He's like, man, I just want my family now. Because a lot of people go to prison, right, Mike? And
Yeah.
in prison, you're like, damn, man, I want to change my life. I said it 1,000 times. I'm like, man, I want to get out. I just want to meet a nice girl, have a family, pay my bills, and just be normal. I used to say that all the time, and now I'm finally able to do that. Do you
Yeah.
think your father was in that position where now he finally wanted to change his life? It was like, damn, I want my family to come with me so I'm not alone. I'm not lonely.
To be honest with you, I don't think so. I believe, a lot of people do go to jail and want to change their lives. I do believe that because people do change. But a lot of these guys in that life that become informants, they only become informants when they get caught. It's all good up until that point. So most informants, I say, no, they don't want to change. Do they eventually change their lives? Once they're out, I'm sure some do. Because you're out of that, you don't want to go back to jail, obviously, and you change your life. But no, initially, no. I think you just want out.
So he's asking you to come with him. Do you think
Yeah.
that's because he's worried about your safety?
Yeah. Well, I don't think he thought anybody would do anything. To be honest with you, I believe he loved me. I believe he wanted me there. Every father wants their son. You know how it is. You would never want to leave your boys. So I do believe he wanted me with him. Yeah. But listen, when you do something like that, it's a selfish act. That's a big move to make. Change your whole life and leave people out there. So I do believe he loved me, but he wanted to be out. So and he was out. I didn't see him. My choice. I didn't see him, but I didn't see him.
When you were a kid, you looked up to your dad,
Yeah, of course, of course.
looked up to him, loved him, cared about him, and now your whole family's broken, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's what it is. People change. People sometimes show their true colors.
And you know something, Mike? I believe your father probably loved you. When he decided to live this life, and there's consequences that come with that life sometimes, and then he made whatever choices he made, and he had to go on and do whatever he was going to do, for his own safety, I guess. But
Yeah,
at the end of the day, man, the message isn't about, hey, man, don't tell because you're going to destroy your family. The message is don't even get involved in that life. Make your family first. Make your son first. Make your wife first.
absolutely,
That before you get involved in that stuff where you're put in a position where you think you have to do certain things. That's what I think the message should be.
absolutely. You know what he used to tell me all the time when I was real young, 8, 9, 10 years old. I used to like to hang out with my brother more as a kid, and sometimes with him. But like I said, he was always out with his friends, and he used to tell me, "Come on, hang out with me. Talk to me." He's like, "I'm not going to be here forever. Someday this is going to end." I used to say to myself as a kid, "What does that mean?" But then as you get older, you realize. Now I'm thinking back, thinking about everything that happened. You think about where he was thinking then, and you don't realize until it's too late. And look, he wasn't kidding. It was either death, jail, or informant.
Does he end up doing a bunch of time in prison, or does he just go right to the witness protection program and he's free after all that?
I think he did a couple of years time served. I believe nothing too crazy, maybe 3 years time served.
What prison was he at? What was it all in MCC?
He was MCC for a while. I went to see him up in there. That was an experience. That was 10 South, I'm sure you know. Man, he got moved around. He was with other guys. He was with other guys in there. Um, I know he wouldn't be in there where you were. He was on the other side with the rest of them, but he was in there.
You don't know what prison he ended up going
I
to?
don't know what prison. I didn't know where he went. I know he wasn't in Fort Dix. My uncle was in Fort Dix. I actually went up there to visit him. My other uncle. I was in MCC Ray Brook, but no, I don't know where he moved around. But he wasn't there too long. He wasn't there too long.
And then he gets out and he's in the program and he's living a different life. So you don't talk to him at all for years upon years. You don't know where he's at. You don't know what's going on with him. Nothing.
He always tried to get in contact with me. That's one thing I got to say. He always wrote me letters. He always had a certain number. I would see the number coming. I never answered it. So it was just years of that. Seeing the number call you, just ignore it. About 10 years of that.
And did it hurt you, man?
It did. It hurt. I kind of, I don't know, blocked it out, but you just keep going with the punches. There's worse things in life, you know. He could have been dead, right? I could have been a different outcome. So I guess maybe it made it a little easier knowing he was still out there somewhere and ignoring him. But I felt strongly about it. The main thing was I didn't want to be associated with that. Looking at him, it was like looking at a different person. It was hard to look at him, hard to talk to him, hard to take him serious. Because you think you know somebody, then they flip around. So I guess I just had to get over that. Deal with that, and being out on the street. I just didn't think it would be right if I was still around everybody, which I was, and still talking to him. You know what I mean? Because in that life, you're not even supposed to be alive. So I don't want to be talking to you if I'm still out here. As crazy as that may sound about your father.
It is what it is. But that's why I asked you that, man, because, that father-son relationship, and I know it probably had to hurt you, man, every time that you seen the number, you're like, I'm not answering it. Were there times around the holidays and stuff where maybe you felt sad and like, damn, I really want to answer his call, and you just didn't?
Yeah, it happened all the time. He would stop calling for periods, you know what I mean? A couple of months, 6 months here. So I guess you give up trying after a while, and it pops back into the other, let me call him again for a couple of months. But yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was.
So you finally end up talking to your dad again, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I made contact it was about a decade, about a good 10 years strong. And I just decided to reach out one day.
You reached out to him or he reached out to you?
I believe I reached out to him. Yeah, he was still calling up, believe it or not, 10 years later, still calling. And I had the number, so, but things are never the same, you know what I mean? Things are never the same. It's always a little off.
I'm very sorry about that, man, because honestly, dude, I've talked to you a few times, man. You come across as a really good dude, a good father, man, and I really respect you, bro, and I appreciate you.
Thank you. I respect you too, and watching everything you've been through. Much worse than me, you know what I mean? A much tougher life than me, but everybody's got a different.
I want to ask you this, man, and I'm sure the viewers are going to want to know, right?
Yeah.
What was it like? That first phone call, man? Was it like, look, Dad, man, I love you, man. I've been hurting, or was it, I'm pissed off at you, man. You hurt me. You embarrassed me. I mean, what did that conversation go like?
A little awkward, I guess, more than anything. A little awkward. I guess we didn't really even say much the first conversation. It was more just like a shock, a shock to both people. 10 years is a long time not to really speak to somebody. And it was more just like, all right, it happened. It was a quick conversation, and then a couple more times, more conversations. He explained some things, I listened. And yeah, but the first initial was just more of, all right, it happened. I'll talk to him again.
I know you're a father now. How many kids do you have?
I have 3.
Was there a point now when you talked, did your dad know you had 3 kids? Did he know he was a grandfather?
Yeah, he don't see them, so.
Man, I mean, damn, bro. Sometimes, very seldom am I stuck for words, right? But, man, I can't even imagine what that's like because, man, family just seems so big to me now, man, from being in there. I'm going to be honest with you, dude. There was plenty of times, man, where I was lonely. I was depressed. I was sad. Christmases would kill me.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm sure, man, that, throughout all of this, that those times probably killed your father. Knowing, man, I got grandkids. I can't even see them. My son, and I think there were times when maybe he regretted. Did he ever tell you, man, since then? Like, man, I regret what I did?
Yeah. I mean, he says he wish he never did it, for whatever that's worth. Hindsight's always 20/20, right? Always looking back. You make a life-changing decision like that. That's tough. I can't imagine what it's like for him to deal with that. I guess it's like anything else. You get over it. You get used to it. Humans adapt to anything in life. But it's got to be hard, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you're out, you're free, right? But you gotta walk with a different last name. Think of that.
You might be free, but are you really free?
He's trapped in your mind, probably. He's got a long history in that life. It goes back to his grandfather over 150 years. So he said something like that to me one day too. He goes, I destroyed the family name. I destroyed something that was 100 something years old. Not glorifying it, not saying that, because obviously I'm not in that life and I'm against that life. That's not my style. I don't like to answer to anybody, and I like to live my life the way I like to live it. But he did that. He damaged the name. It's a little bit of an embarrassment, no matter how you look at it. But it is what it is. It is what it is.
So now, you still talk to your dad now, right?
Yeah, every now and then we communicate.
And you say the relationship will never be the same, but you ever tell your dad, like, man, I love you, man. You're my father?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
No, I mean, I asked you that because some people might think that, maybe a son doesn't say that. Maybe a father's betrayal destroys the son so much where the son doesn't never forgive. The son says, hey, I don't want nothing to do with you. Don't call me. Don't talk to me. Pretend that you don't even know us. And I'm sure there's people that have been in that position that have done that.
100%, yeah. I mean, I did it for 10 years, and, I just something in you, you got to make a little bit of a change and see how that feels. Sometimes, you do something one way for so long, you say, you know what, let me make a little bit of a change. But it was worth it. You know what I mean? It was worth it. You don't want people to die. You don't speak to them. That's something else you got to live with, if you get to that point. But I don't blame anybody if they don't want to deal with that. I actually changed my name when I was younger. How's that? My last name. That was tough. It was my mother's idea because she was nervous, and we changed my name for a couple of years. I'm back now. My decision. But I don't blame her. But that was tough. Changing your name, walking around with a different last name because something your father did. That was rough. But you got to figure out what works for you.
Let me tell you something, man. Like I just said this, bro. Look, dude, I respect you 100%, man. I want, and I know that you were embarrassed, and these are the people that, these were your family members, right? Like John Gotti Jr. You called him Uncle John, and you looked up to some of these guys, and now you're like, damn, man. How does it feel to not be able to like talk to them people anymore? Or just, maybe did you ever want to try to just avoid them, or were you just like, you know what, man, that's what he did, but this is who I am?
Nah, that's how I felt. I said, that's what he did. This is who I am. That's why I was so intent on staying. I didn't want to run away. I didn't want to live in that shadow. I liked my life, as crazy as that sounds. And I loved all these people. I didn't feel like they did anything wrong. And they treated me great. Like I said before, when it was all happening, it's all new. They treated me great. I was hanging out with their nephews and, their cousins for years after that in their homes. So I was around. I wasn't doing anything wrong, but, we were kids growing up. And I was there. They never shunned me. They could have went the other way, not did anything, violent or anything like that, but they could have told their nephews or told this one, don't bring them around. Which, what, if they would have done that, I would have understood it. Because, it is what it is. I give you something I don't think I've ever told anybody. I was hanging out one night before my father did what he did, and there was another kid there. His uncle was a gangster in Jersey. I'm not going to say any names, but his uncle flipped at the time, and his uncle knew my father, and there was something to do with one another. And he was there hanging out, and me being a kid, I told somebody, I said, see that kid right there? His uncle flipped, stay away from him. So, when my father did what he did, that popped right into my head. I said, look at that. It's like almost instant karma, you know what I mean? Look at how I thought. So, I thought about it, how I thought of that kid. And I said, if somebody does that to me, I can't even really get mad. Because look how I was towards that kid. I felt bad about it. But it's just the mentality, that's just the mentality in that life. But it's a reality check.
Things that you talk about today, man, makes people, probably think like, man, look at this kid's character, man. Your character speaks for itself, right?
Thank you.
And I mean, it is what it is. And you know what? That was a teachable moment. Unfortunately, it was a teachable moment that no one really wants to face, but it was.
Yeah.
And we talked a little bit briefly on the phone before we got on here. And I know that you kind of felt like maybe there was a message that you wanted to say to other people, like, look, man, I feel sorry for what happened. I was embarrassed. I mean, what would you want to tell people that might be listening today?
Um, everybody's responsible for their own actions. You know what I mean? Um, I just, I guess, just stay out of that life. That life is glorified, especially with everything on YouTube today. Everything's coming out now. That's what got my brain kicking. I messaged you for the testimony, and that life's crazy. That life's crazy. So all the young guys that think about going in it, it's not the same as it was, obviously, but it leads to bad things. It leads to bad things. You get separated from your family. Family's most important. So I guess that's the message. Just stay out.
How about a message from a son to a father, man? A son to a father that's involved in this life. A son's message to a father who does what your father did, or what some other people have done. What message would you say to a father from a son's perspective? This guy's got a son that's 10, 12, 14, 15. What message would you give to that father? And you can bring it back to what we talked about earlier, man, where, don't put your family in this position. Something like that, man. Because it's on your mind. I know it is. I can see it, dude. I can see the pain in just the way that you talk. I know you're taking a couple little shots there. I seen probably a little nervous, whatever. But
yeah, when we interview, you got to calm down a little bit, right?
It's all good, bro. What message as a son would you give to a father, man, that's in that life?
Just be there for your son. That's the most important thing. I learned that when I was younger, but you don't really learn that till you have children yourself, I guess. So, the money, the this, the that, it's all important. That's all good. But, it affects your kid, affects your son. When he's looking for a father, might lead him down into that life. Look how many guys went the opposite way. How many sons, their fathers were in that life. Either they went to jail or, they got killed. A lot of guys, a lot of sons, they watched their fathers get killed. They grew up, they became killers. So you don't want your son to become a killer. I guess that's the message. The kids are the future.
Listen, man, I want the people to know what you're doing. I mean, you're a father now. You work. Tell the people what you do, man.
Local 3 electrician, New York City. Doing that. That's great. Great paying job. A bunch of good guys. Just taking care of my family. I look forward to go watching movies on the weekends with my wife. That's what I do. I don't got to look for the cops. I don't got to look over my shoulder. I hang out with my wife. I got my kids. I enjoy them. And that's it.
What's the most important thing in your life?
My wife and my kids, my family, and my mother. Without my mother was a strong woman. And now I got my wife here. I couldn't do without either one of them. So
I seen your mother, man,
shout out to them.
talk on I think it was Jimmy Calandra's videos, but yeah, she definitely comes across as a strong woman, a woman that's about her business.
Yeah.
And she comes across as a stern woman that don't play no games.
Yeah, she's been through a lot, she's been through a lot. Her family, she's been around a lot of crazy people herself. She's around her uncles, Georgie the Chico, Frankie the Chico, all these guys. So she comes from that era. Those guys were the real deal, you know what I mean? So she learned from them. She's respectful, and she's tough. She's tough. She's been through a lot.
Before we go, right, I'm going to ask you this. What was John Gotti Jr. like, man, as an uncle, to looking up to him and seeing him? And I mean, how was he towards you? Did he grab you, wrestle you, put you in the head? Hey, what's up, kid? I mean, what was the life
John
like?
was all right. Like I said, he came around later on. My father got close to him later on, but he was good. He was a good guy. We used to go to his house. His kids were there. We, used to fight his kids actually a little bit. Nephews, but it was good times. They were good people. I can't say nothing bad about them. Even when I went up and visited them, it was a good time. Always made me feel comfortable.
Was there ever a time, before we go, right, was there ever a time when you were afraid, man? Like, damn, man, maybe I am in danger?
No, I honestly never felt that way. Whether I was or I wasn't, I just wasn't afraid. I don't know why. Something I didn't think about, something I just maybe accepted. Sometimes if I did think about it, it is what it is. Can't stop it. But no, I wasn't. I don't walk around afraid. I got to say, I didn't.
Well, I'm glad. So before we go, man, is there anything you want to say before we go? Because I'm going to get ready to close the show.
I just want to thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. I love what you're doing. I respect you a lot. You've been through a lot yourself. I'm sitting here talking about myself, but you got a hell of a story. And keep doing what you're doing. I enjoy it. I know a lot of people enjoy it.
Yeah, I don't do this stuff, man, to honestly do like the glamorization of prison and all that. That's not the reason I do. I tell people all the time, man, YouTube don't pay my bills, bro. You know, I'm a paralegal and prison consultant firm. That's what I do. But you know what, man? My mission is to help people, man, because I've done a lot of bad things, man. And now it's my turn to give back some of what I've taken. You know what I mean?
You've been through it. You were in hell. That's, prison, penitentiary. That's hell. That's like a living hell. So you've been through it, and you're doing the right thing. I know how many people you've helped since you've been out. I mean, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable what you're doing. You got a brilliant mind. So
Well,
keep helping them.
I appreciate that. And let me tell you something, dude. The same thing about you, like I have an enormous amount of respect for you. I think the people that are watching the show, they're going to respect you, man, respect your character, respect the fact that you're a father, that you're a man, bro. You're doing you're on man time. What we call in prison, man time. You're on real man time, being a real father, a real leader, and a real husband, man. And I definitely appreciate you, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure.
So I'm going to close the show and tell people, man, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share the video, and make sure you leave a comment. I'm sure this brother will check them. Mikey D will check them, man. And if you can, man, respond to the people, because there might be some questions, man.
Yeah, whatever it is, yeah.
Definitely,
people find it interesting.
Definitely appreciate you. With respect, Blood on the Razor Wire TV. Until tomorrow, we're out.